My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation.
Any ill effects from the Van Allen radiation belts?
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt.
Beginning at an altitude of 1,000 miles and extending an additional 25,000 miles, lay lethal bands of radiation called the Van Allen radiation belts. Every space mission in history with humans on board, from both the United States and Soviet Union, from the first in 1961 to the present, has been well below this deadly radiation field. Mercury, Gemini, Soyuz, Skylab, the Space Shuttle, all maintained altitudes well below 1,000 miles. All except Apollo.
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt.
When you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
Rough terrain.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit concerned, you said, about stubbing your toe.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit concerned, you said, about...
I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
Take a look at the pattern on the rug where the toys are arranged. Does that pattern remind you of anything you would see at the National Aeronautics Space Administration, NASA? This is what a NASA launch pad looks like. Here's another image of a NASA launch pad. This is 39A, the launch pad of Apollo 11. The boy, Danny, symbolizes Stanley Kubrick. He is kneeling in the center of an imaginary launch pad. Look at Danny's sweater. There is an image of a rocket on it. Not just any rocket, a very special one. Danny begins to stand up. The rocket is beginning to lift off. Look at the name of the rocket on the sweater. And the name is Apollo. More specifically, Apollo 11 USA. Danny, Stanley Kubrick, is the Apollo 11 mission. The Apollo 11 rocket begins its journey down a corridor. The journey of the Apollo 11 rocket brings us to a room with an open door. Room 237. In the book, The Shining, the room number is 217, but for the film, Kubrick changed it to 237. Here's the true reason why. The moon, the natural satellite of Earth visible by reflection of sunlight, and traveling around Earth in a slightly elliptical orbit at an average distance of about 381,600 kilometers. The American Heritage Science Dictionary. 381,600 kilometers converted to miles is 237,000. Room 237 represents the moon. Danny enters room 237, the moon room. This is where Stanley Kubrick films the Apollo 11 moon landing. Danny comes out of room 237. He has marks on his throat, and his Apollo 11 sweater is torn. His mother wants to know what happened to him, but now he won't speak about what took place in room 237. Kubrick has been forced to remain silent about the Apollo 11 moon hoax.
William Jefferson Clinton. In his autobiography, My Life, published in 2004, he states on page 156, "Just a month before, Apollo 11 astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong had left their colleague Michael Collins aboard spaceship Columbia and walked on the moon, beating by 5 months President Kennedy's goal of putting a man on the moon before the decade was out. The old carpenter asked me if I really believed it had happened. I said sure, I saw it on television. He disagreed. He said that he didn't believe it for a minute, that them television fellers could make things look real that weren't. Back then I thought he was a crank. During my 8 years in Washington, I saw some things on TV that made me wonder if he wasn't ahead of his time." To simplify, what Clinton says is that a gentleman expressed doubt in the Apollo claims, and he wonders whether that gentleman was correct. Now, exactly what is a former two-term United States president doing, wondering about the authenticity of the greatest technological achievement in the history of mankind? An event that had marked the legacy of his own boyhood hero, JFK.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Obviously, he has some reason to believe that the moon landings were not authentic. If a former U.S. president is wondering about the authenticity of the claim, does it not make sense that you should wonder too? One can imagine why a former president would not want to come right out and blow the whistle by unequivocally stating his true beliefs. But he did, probably for the sake of his legacy.
GNC 转接近下降模式。错，是左。北京敏感。报告，7500牛，发动机关机，GNC 转无控模式。7500牛，发动机关机，GNC 转无控模式。
As it mentions in the Bible, Satan is the god of this world, and it also mentions how Satan deceives this world. And how does he do that? Through the leaders of this world, the satanic Freemasons, which many of them are under the cloak of Christianity. Now, taking a look at the moon missions, the first one with Apollo 11 to be exact, the name Apollo comes directly from the Bible, from Revelation 9:11, where the Antichrist is named. The angel from the abyss, whose name is Apollo. And the name of the rocket that brought the Apollo mission into space, it was named Saturn. And the name Saturn derives from the Roman version of Satan, named Saturn. So what you had here, with the moon missions, the elaborate hoax the U.S. government perpetrated, not only on the American people, but the world, was all symbolic, with Saturn, aka Satan, bringing Apollo, aka the Antichrist, to the moon. And the moon represents Earth. So when you break it all down, it comes down to Satan bringing in the Antichrist into the world. And who do they use to pull off this elaborate hoax? They use Buzz Aldrin, a fellow Freemason. And Freemasons, they're sworn to secrecy. Someone they could trust, one of their own, to pull off this elaborate hoax. An interesting side note, with the launch of MTV in 1981, the very first opening for MTV, where they show the launch of the Saturn rocket. And take a look at the MTV logo with that lightning bolt. That lightning bolt also comes straight from the Bible. From Luke chapter 10, verse 18, where Jesus states that he beheld Satan falling from heaven like lightning. And also note, as the MTV commercial flashes, or that opening flashes, you have all these different layouts over the M. And one that flashes is the brick wall. And that brick wall represents Freemasonry. So everything they do, they love to poke fun at the sheep. And to fellow Freemasons, they spot this and they know that they see this symbolism, while the rest of the population doesn't have a clue. And the Freemasons that run this country, run the world, look at this 1997 album cover with Michael Jackson, titled Blood on the Dance Floor. And look at the dance floor. It's Masonic checkerboard. And take a look at Michael Jackson's arms and when they're positioned. Right about at 9/11. Look at the buildings behind him. You have a couple shaped as pyramids, representing the Illuminati. Take a look at the clouds in the background, shaped like buildings, just like a 9/11. I'm going to point out some hidden symbolism in No Doubt's album cover, called The Return of Saturn, or The Return of Satan. Taking a look at that tripod, was shaped as a pyramid, an Illuminati pyramid, and what do you see right underneath? That headless person. And the reason for that, when Satan returns, the Antichrist, all those that refuse the mark of the beast, as stated in the Bible, they will be beheaded. So this is a pretty creepy album cover right here, and the hidden meaning behind it.